16 1/4. Gonna be redfish and brown gravy tonight. That's what I've been wanting to do. Catch me a red to cook in brown gravy. So good morning. Today's catch and cook is going to be redfish and brown gravy. Okay, the ingredients we're going to need for today's dish are onion, bell pepper, celery, garlic, redfish. You want the thick portions from the top side of a fillet. Nice big meaty portions of redfish. Sheep's head, black drum, catfish, any thick dense meat will work good in this dish. Creole seasoning, salt, pepper, cooking oil, and flour to make a roux. Well, I'm getting ready to make my roux for my gravy. And what I'm going to use 3/4 cup of flour. And then 3/4 cup of cooking oil. And we'll put this on a medium-low heat, and then we'll stir constantly till we get it to the desired brownness we want. Once we get it to the brownness we want, we'll put our chopped up vegetables in, and that'll stop the flour from browning anymore. So this could take a while. You can't walk away from it. You can't answer the phone or walk the dog or anything like that during this step. So this is how it starts off. Just the blonde color. I like to use a cast iron pot. This is an enameled cast iron pot. It holds the heat good. And we'll constantly stir this roux as we cook it. About 5 minutes, it's starting to bubble up a little bit. So my heat's a little too high. I don't want it to cook this fast. I'll slow it down just a little. We don't want to burn the flour, we just want to slowly brown it. So you can see right here it's bubbling and it's still liquidy. When the roux starts pulling apart from the pan, it'll be close to getting finished. So you can see at 10 minutes we're starting to get a nice brown color. It's starting to separate, it's not flowing back together, real liquidy. So at this point you just want to make sure you steadily stir so it doesn't burn. And like I said, I'm making redfish and brown gravy, so I want a pretty dark roux. It was 3/4 cup of flour and 3/4 cup of cooking oil. And the vegetables I've chopped up, my onions, bell pepper, and celery, I have about 3/4 cup of each. So the roux is almost to the color I'm going to want. I'm going to go a little darker. Like I said, see how it starts to separate away from the pan? And then once you put your vegetables in, that'll stop the roux from browning. Okay, this is the color I'm looking for, almost a dark mahogany color. Okay, so once I got the roux browned to the color I want, I'll turn the heat off and I'll stir in my vegetables. Just to stop the roux from cooking and saute down the vegetables. So as you can see, it was a dark red mahogany color, but once you add liquid to it, it browns nicely. Not liquid, but the liquid from the vegetables. And this cast iron holds a lot of heat. Let's stop simmering. I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic. That way it doesn't overcook the garlic and it becomes bitter. Then I'm going to put the fire back on low and add water. So that was 2 cups of water. Let's see how much I want to make. Okay, once it starts to simmer, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of Creole seasoning, about a teaspoon of table salt, a few twists of fresh black pepper. So as you can already see, this is really thick already right off the bat. So I'm going to add 1 more cup of water. Add a 1/3 cup of water to the gravy. So now everything's in here. What we need to do is we need to let it simmer down for about an hour to keep cooking the vegetables down and all the flavors to meld. We'll let this simmer for about an hour with the lid on, and while it simmers for an hour, we'll go ahead and cook some white rice. So after an hour of cooking, the gravy's ready. It's still at a slight simmer, and what I've done is I've skimmed off all the cooking oil grease I can get out of it. So you can recover pretty much all the cooking oil you use in it and get that out of your dish. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fish and I'm going to lightly season it. And then we're going to take the fish and put it down into the gravy at a slow simmer. And we'll only cook this about 10 minutes or more because we want the fish to stay firm and nice big portion pieces. Get a little bit of gravy on top. It's almost like when I cook a kubi on a residual heat, we'll almost cook the fish. It doesn't take long. So I'll put the lid back on and let this set in here for about 10 minutes and check it. Alright, so my fish has been kind of poaching in the gravy for 10 minutes. Looking like it's done. You don't want it to flake apart, you want it to stay whole. I can tell that that's done. So while the gravy was simmering down, I cooked a pot of white rice. So we'll take a serving of white rice. And then we'll put one of our fillets of fish directly on top of the white rice. So you can see it's done, totally done. It's flaking apart. And then we'll put some of the roux gravy on the rice. Go, we got redfish and brown gravy. So if you like rice and gravy and you like redfish, there's nothing not to like about this dish. Look how flaky the meat cooks apart. Beautiful white, dense redfish and brown gravy. That is so good, it's unbelievable. You really should try it. If you get burnt out on fried fish, baked fish, redfish on the half grill, this is a way of cooking redfish you probably never thought of, and it's probably my favorite. I'm a fried fish fanatic, but I love redfish and brown gravy. So that's probably a recipe or a dish that you never thought of doing with redfish, fish in a brown gravy. Excellent way to cook it. Any dense fish, sheep's head, black drum, redfish will work great. It's also a great way to cook garfish balls. Make your garfish balls, make the same type roux gravy, and put them in there to simmer. So, getting out the ordinary everyday swing of things, redfish and brown gravy. Till the next video, get out there and go fishing.